Woman opens up about disturbing encounter with Abner Colina days before murder. TV show of River of Love sect should be pulled off the air, one chairman urges. Beloved doctor and Putino Cares founder Victor Calvania dies. This and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. I'm Tim Diacono, joined today by David Rekropani, and of course, the news everybody is talking about concerns the murder of Paulina Demska. And today, Lovin Malta has published an exclusive story by someone who encountered the murder suspect, Abner Colina, a few days before the murder. David, what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, you're right, much has been said, on this murder, and much has been said about the 20-year-old murder suspect, Abner Colina, from allegations of harassment to close calls. And one such close call that happened just 2 days before has been revealed by Lovin Malta after a young woman spoke to us. Basically, it was, funnily enough, filmed. The whole thing happened at around the same time that a video that had gone viral, showing, one of the last times that Abner was filmed, really, at the beach with two friends. The beach looked kind of empty, except for two people, and it turned out that those two people had quite a disturbing encounter with young Aquilina. So basically, this woman told us that Abner Aquilina came over to where she was just minding her own business with a friend of hers and a dog, and they politely asked him to leave when they felt like he was infringing on their privacy. And then he started displaying some erratic behavior. He started darting around the beach. She said running around in an odd way. At a point, she said that he even came right behind us and started hitting his head on the rocks behind us. She said there was even some blood. They asked again, for him to kind of give them the necessary space. He started shouting at them, telling them that he won't move away, until his two friends that went viral for specifically that video came over and, in fairness, apologized for his behavior, telling the woman that Abner was currently dealing with personal issues. What personal issues they are, we don't know, but what we do know is that 48 hours later, on 2nd January at 7 a.m., Abner Aquilina was arrested as the main suspect of Paulina Demska's murder. Now, a lot has been said about this over the last 48 hours. I'm sure that way more is going to be said. There's clearly, very important debates that we need to be having on everything from, femicide to mental health. We need to have those debates. They need to be mature. They need to be open-minded. Some of them aren't right now, as you'd expect. Tensions are running, quite high. In the meantime, I think a very important thing to remember is, the victim herself, Paulina Demska, and incidentally, a vigil in her honor is going to be held at Exiles Slima very shortly at 6 p.m. In fact, stay tuned for Lovin Malta's coverage on the scene from that case.
Yes, like you said, many people are trying to make some kind of sense of this horrific act, and especially what was going on through this young man's head at the time. What was the state like that drove him to murder a complete stranger? He had in cold blood at the start of the year like that. Now, many theories have been postulated on social media. One of the most popular theories at the moment is a link to the church River of the Evangelical Church River of Love, which for the reason being that Abner Colina was spotted there a few days before the murder, and the people who were in that video you spoke about, one of them at least is an ardent River of Love supporter. So there's no established link at all, but people have been, this incident, the murder has brought this Christian community back to the forefront of national discussion. And today, the chairperson of One TV, the media house owned by the Labour Party, Jason McAuliffe, has described River of Love as a sect and said that their programme, which airs once or twice a week on Smash TV, should be banned, should be pulled off the air entirely because it could fuel religious fanaticism. And he said, look what happened in other countries. It's these kind of fanatical religious groups will confuse minds that are already confused and could fuel extremely horrendous acts, including terrorism. He said if he was an MP, he would actually propose a motion to ban it off the air. Well, while I get the thrust of his statement, I'm very cautious about calls to go after banning certain stations, certain programs, when there's no when there's before even a link has been actually established. It's very easy to just shoot off, find convenient scapegoats and enemies without having the facts in hand as well. And there is an argument to be made that groups like River of Love can best be countered through other means rather than trying to ban them from society altogether. And it's also the irony of it all, which is that he owns a TV station which doesn't fuel religious fanaticism, sure, but it certainly fuels political fanaticism, which does also, as we've seen in other countries worldwide, fuel extreme behavior.
Exactly. I mean, you don't even need to look very hard and far from our shores to see what political fanaticism gets you. And that's the thing, you know, like I despise fanaticism as much as the next guy, and I'm sure that religious fanaticism can, you know, have quite an adverse effect on people who might be a little bit more sensitive to this or might be a little bit more lost and looking for a place, you know, to belong. But yeah, I also have a problem with where this qualm is coming from. Yeah, I mean, sure, religious fanaticism is bad, but where are we going to stop? Should we also not address political fanatism, which has maybe not grappled, you know, and not taken hold of a few thousand people, but has instead, you know, engaged 3/4 of our population, when you think about it that way. I think this just harks back to what we were talking about before. A lot of people are kind of trying to turn it into their own agenda, trying to, you know, find the one point in the story that best suits their narrative. And there's a lot of narratives that can be suited here. I think we just, you know, we definitely need to make sure not to lose track on what is really happening here, who the victims are, and how we can address this not happening again. Because now, as we've seen from a timeline of, you know, these horrible crimes, we're on year 43 or something of this. Meanwhile, in unfortunately similarly tragic news, beloved child cancer consultant and Putino Care's founder Victor Calvagna has died at 63 years old, a few days after he was run over. This goes back to one of the last tragic car accidents of 2021. Well, in fact, Calvagna was jogging in Aura a few days after Christmas when he was hit by a car. What followed was, you know, a heartbreaking post by his wife Carmen, who revealed that, you know, an MRI scan showed he was brain dead, and then a few days later, in fact earlier today, this happened. The accident had shocked the nation before. You know, there was everyone from Prime Minister Roberto Abela to the families of sick children. He helped praying for his recovery, and now, unfortunately, what many were, you know, dreading has happened. And as you can imagine, a slew of tributes poured in, flooding social media. From everyone from Putino Cares, of course, who helped co-found, to patients who had, you know, touching tributes like, "You used to call us your heroes, but you really were our hero all along." A very tragic day for people who Calvagna has helped, and there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, there's a man who touched many people's lives in a very significant way. At the most vulnerable and fragile points of their lives, he was there to help them, not only from a medical aspect, but also from a moral support aspect. This is what's clear, and his death is a extremely sad loss for the nation, and Lovin Malta would like to offer its condolences to the Calvania family in these sad times. Moving on, the National Audit Office has revealed that the government of Malta paid an extra 1.3 million euro to Vital Global's healthcare to incur costs that that Vitals was contractually obliged to fork out as per the terms of the contract. So these costs included issues like cleaning, security and support of the 3 hospitals that Vitals was managing. The concession that the government granted Vitals said that this is money that Vitals must pay themselves. However, we end up paying for it, we as in being the taxpayer, because Konrad Mizzi, the former health minister who was responsible for this project from its inception, signed off these terms to VGH. We keep saying, oh, it's the taxpayer who's responsible now, before even asking cabinet, and then he asked cabinet once it had been signed, which was already a done deal. Also, dates of contractual milestones which Vitals had regularly missed were changed without cabinet approval. So this is the NAO report is very voluminous, but what's quite abundantly clear from it is that a lot of public funds, public money that could have been spent on so many better, I think of a million ways it could have been spent in a better way, went actually to this one company, into its coffers, which appeared to be like a black hole of finances, pour money in and nothing ever comes out of it. And the public didn't get much of it. In fact, the company ended up having to sell its entire concession to Stewart Healthcare. It's an absolute travesty, the way public funds are being spent, like 1.3 million here, another 40 million there.
Yeah, I mean, I could think of, literally 1.3 million different ways they could have been spent. It's horrific, I every single time Vitals comes up in the news, I just get, I get my stomach starts churning a little bit, thinking, what else can we find out? And it seems like there's a new shock and a new surprise every single day. And just like you said, Tim, the worst part of it all is, seeing the complete lack of a trade-off when it comes to the use of public funds, the hemorrhaging of money when it comes to these, dead-end initiatives. And it's such a shame because, when public funds are used the right way, even if for something so tiny, the community instantly will engage, instantly will give, its kudos. And that's actually what happened, ironically, on a much, much smaller scale in our last story, where, Marsa ended up turning something as simple as cat shelters into this awesome initiative, with a little bit of a dash of style and a little bit of a dash of culture. So Marsa Stray Cats now have, this stylish new home in the shape of traditional balcony-style shelters. They're all small, they're like miniature balconies with different colours. They were all created and built by the council, so they weren't ordered, they were just like, lovingly handcrafted out of marine plywood to brave the elements. We know that the worst of winter is probably yet to come with January and February. And Marsa Mayor Josef Atsopardi was interviewed earlier this morning. In fact, talking about how these shelters can house 6 cats at a time, which is great because there's God knows we have a lot of stray cats, and they're specifically based on Malta's cultural roots, which I guess makes sense, seeing as Marsa is going to be our cultural hub imminently. Exactly. So that's that element of culture already starting, I guess. And all in all, I think on a day like today, I think it's quite poignant that we turned into cats again, stray cats in the memory of
we may be losing more and more of these balconies in their original format, but at least the cats of Marsa at the very least will keep benefiting from the designs. And that's it from us today. Make sure you follow lovinmalta.com for all the latest developments, including Of course, the vigil will be held in Slema this evening to pay tribute to Paulina Dębska. Lovin Malta will be there and will be following it closely. And until we meet again, have an evening full of loving.